There's a truth that may not sit well with everyone, but it is necessary. You can't be everything to everyone without losing yourself. When you're soft to everyone, constantly accommodating, forever bending over backward, you become like a door swung wide open. Anyone can walk in, and they will. Life requires you to be kind, but kindness is not a license for others to misuse your generosity. You were not created to be a doormat, but a pillar, strong and steady, guiding those around you with wisdom and clarity. But how can you guide others if you let them trample over your convictions? When you constantly bend to the will of others, you risk losing not just your individuality, but the very essence of who you are. Over-accommodation may feel like kindness, and it often starts from a place of good intentions. You want to be helpful, agreeable, and make others feel valued. But the truth is, when you overextend yourself to meet everyone's expectations, you diminish your worth in their eyes and in your own. The problem with being overly accommodating is that it sends a subtle message your needs, time, and energy are secondary to those of others. This is not humility, it is self-neglect. When you fail to assert your own boundaries, you allow others to assume that you have none. They may begin to take your efforts for granted, seeing your availability not as a gift, but as an expectation. And expectations, when left unchecked, breed entitlement. In a world full of takers, over-accommodation turns you into an easy target. People will test how far they can push you, and if you don't push back, they will push further. They will begin to offload their burdens onto you because they know you will carry them. What they don't realize, and what you might forget, is that every burden you take on for others weighs down your own shoulders. Eventually, you're left too exhausted to take care of yourself, let alone anyone else. Consider this: every yes you give to someone else is a no to something else in your life. Maybe it's a project you've been meaning to finish, a dream you've been quietly nurturing, or even your peace of mind. When you over-accommodate, you spend your time putting out fires for others while neglecting your own house. This imbalance not only stifles your personal growth, but also breeds resentment. You might not even realize it at first, but over time you'll find yourself frustrated not just with those who take advantage of you, but with yourself for allowing it to happen. Moreover, over-accommodation doesn't achieve the result you hope for. People don't respect you more when you cater to their every need. In fact, the opposite happens. They start to see you as someone who is always available, always willing, always pliable. And the unfortunate reality is that what is always available is rarely valued. Think about water in a tap. It flows freely, so most of us take it for granted. Now think about water in a desert. It's scarce, and therefore it's treasured. If you don't set limits, others won't set them for you. Why would they? It's human nature to seek convenience, and if you make yourself endlessly convenient, you become the path of least resistance. But convenience isn't the same as connection. When people take from you without giving back, it's not because they value you, it's because you've made it easy for them. The dangers of over-accommodation extend beyond your personal life. They can seep into your professional world as well. In the workplace, saying yes to every request may make you appear cooperative in the short term, but it can also pigeonhole you as someone who can be easily exploited. Your colleagues or superiors might assign you more work than others, not because you're capable, but because they know you won't refuse. Over time, this can lead to burnout, frustration, and even a loss of respect from those around you. Ultimately, over-accommodation is not sustainable. You are not an endless well of energy and resources. When you give and give without replenishing yourself, you run dry. And when you finally reach your limit and push back, those who have become accustomed to your over-accommodation might not react kindly. They may accuse you of being selfish or unkind, not understanding that you're simply reclaiming what you should never have given away so freely in the first place. To avoid the pitfalls of over-accommodation, you must first recognize your own value. You are not defined by how much you give or how often you say yes. Your worth is intrinsic, and it doesn't need to be proven through self-sacrifice. By setting boundaries and being intentional about where you invest your energy, you not only protect yourself, but also teach others to value you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. It's not selfish to prioritize your own well-being. It's necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot be everything to everyone. Choose instead to be true to yourself and let that truth guide your actions. When you stop over accommodating, you make room for genuine connections, mutual respect, and a life that honors your purpose and potential. Respect is not something you can demand from others without first establishing it for yourself. At the heart of respect lies the concept of boundaries, clear, intentional limits that define where you begin and others end. These boundaries are not just physical, but emotional, mental, and spiritual. They signal to others what you value, what you will accept, and what you will not tolerate. Without them, respect becomes a fleeting ideal, easily lost in the chaos of blurred lines and unspoken expectations. Boundaries are not walls, they are safeguards. While walls shut people out, boundaries create space for healthy relationships to thrive. They communicate self-respect in action, showing others that you care enough about yourself to protect your energy, time, and well-being. When boundaries are clear, they empower others to engage with you in ways that are constructive, respectful, and balanced. Without them, however, the opposite happens. People may unintentionally or intentionally overstep, assuming you're okay with treatment that you're actually not. It's important to understand that people are not mind readers. If you fail to articulate your boundaries, you cannot expect others to honor them. This is where many fall into the trap of frustration or resentment, believing that others should just know how to treat them. But respect is not assumed, it is cultivated through consistent communication and action. By expressing your limits clearly and confidently, you set the tone for how you expect to be treated. Many struggle with setting boundaries because they fear rejection, conflict, or being labeled as selfish. This is especially true for those who equate selflessness with goodness. But the reality is that boundaries are not selfish. They are a vital expression of self-awareness and self-care. Without them, you risk overcommitting, overextending, and ultimately losing yourself in the process of pleasing others. Respect begins when you recognize that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and protecting your energy is not a betrayal of others, it's a gift to yourself and those around you. Boundaries also protect your priorities. Every time you allow someone to interrupt your schedule, derail your goals, or monopolize your energy, you are effectively choosing their agenda over your own. This doesn't mean you should never be flexible or generous, but it does mean that you must be intentional about where your time and energy go. If you don't set boundaries, others will set them for you, often to your detriment. They may not do so maliciously, but their focus will naturally be on their needs, not yours. By drawing clear lines, you reclaim ownership of your life and ensure that your priorities remain intact. It's important to note that boundaries are not only about saying no, they are also about teaching others how to say yes in ways that align with your values. When you set boundaries, you give others a roadmap for how to engage with you meaningfully and respectfully. You teach them that your time is valuable, that your emotions matter, and that your well-being is non-negotiable. This, in turn, creates a foundation for mutual respect and understanding. Enforcing boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself. People who have benefited from your lack of boundaries may resist or even push back. They might accuse you of being difficult, distant, or unkind. But remember, their discomfort is not your responsibility. By standing firm in your boundaries, you are not being unkind, you are being clear. Clarity is kindness because it removes ambiguity and ensures that everyone knows where they stand. Boundaries also serve as a litmus test for relationships. Those who respect your boundaries are the ones who truly value you, while those who resist them reveal their unwillingness to honor your worth. This is a hard but necessary truth. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world, your time, or your energy. Boundaries help you discern who is worthy of your investment and who is not. Respect begins within. When you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, you invite others to do the same. You create an environment where healthy interactions flourish, and you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to please everyone. Boundaries are not about keeping people out, they are about letting the right people in under the right conditions and at the right time. When you live with boundaries, you don't just demand respect, you inspire it. Kindness is one of the most powerful traits a person can possess. It reflects compassion, empathy, and a genuine desire to uplift others. However, kindness should never be confused with weakness. The two are fundamentally different, yet too often they are mistaken for one another. Kindness comes from a place of strength that is intentional and purposeful. Weakness, on the other hand, is a lack of boundaries, self-respect, or the courage to assert one's values. Understanding this distinction is essential if you want to live a life where your kindness is honored rather than exploited. To be kind is to choose generosity even when it is not required. It is extending a helping hand, offering words of encouragement, or providing support to someone in need. But being kind does not mean allowing others to misuse your goodwill or disrespect your limits. Weakness occurs when kindness is given without discernment, when you offer your time, energy, or resources to people who take advantage of your generosity without reciprocating respect. The danger of appearing weak while trying to be kind is that it invites exploitation. Some people interpret unguarded kindness as an opportunity to take more than they deserve. They may not see your actions as a strength, but rather as an indication that you can be manipulated. This perception undermines the very essence of your kindness, reducing it to something others see as an easy target rather than a noble trait. True kindness requires a foundation of strength. It takes strength to say no when necessary, even if it feels uncomfortable. It takes strength to discern who is deserving of your kindness and who might misuse it. And it takes strength to set limits, even with those you care about. Without these elements of strength, kindness can quickly devolve into martyrdom, sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of others who may not value or respect you. One of the most liberating truths about kindness is that it is not an obligation, it is a choice. You are not required to be kind to everyone at all times, especially to those who consistently disrespect or mistreat you. Choosing not to engage with toxic individuals is not unkind, it is wise. Kindness is most effective when it is paired with wisdom and discernment. It should never come at the cost of your peace, dignity, or self-respect. Kindness, when rooted in strength, sets an example for others. It demonstrates that you can be compassionate without being a pushover. It shows that you can be generous without being taken advantage of. This balance is where true respect is born. People are more likely to value your kindness when they see that it is intentional and not born out of fear, insecurity, or a need to please. Weakness, on the other hand, often stems from a fear of conflict or rejection. Many people avoid setting boundaries because they worry about upsetting others or being seen as unkind. But in reality, avoiding confrontation at all costs is not kindness, it is avoidance. True kindness often requires courage, especially when it involves speaking the truth or standing up for yourself in the face of disrespect. A critical aspect of kindness is learning to prioritize. Not everyone deserves the same level of access to your time, energy, or emotions. Just as you wouldn't give a stranger the keys to your house, you shouldn't give everyone the same level of kindness without understanding their intentions. This doesn't mean being suspicious or guarded, it means being intentional. Choose to invest your kindness in relationships and situations where it will be valued and reciprocated. Another key element of kindness is self-kindness. Many people are quick to extend grace and compassion to others, but neglect themselves in the process. This imbalance can lead to burnout, resentment, and even a loss of identity. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. By being kind to yourself, setting boundaries, saying no when needed, and prioritizing your well-being, you ensure that your kindness to others comes from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Ultimately, kindness and weakness are defined by the presence or absence of boundaries. Kindness shines brightest when it is a deliberate choice, supported by self-awareness and self-respect. Weakness, however, emerges when kindness is given without thought or intention, leaving you vulnerable to exploitation. By embracing the strength that underpins true kindness, you not only protect yourself, but also inspire others to respect and honor your generosity. Kindness is not weakness, it is the strength to lead with compassion while holding firm to your values. Not everyone deserves the same level of access to your time, energy, and emotional resources. The power of selective access lies in your ability to discern who should be allowed into the various areas of your life and to what extent. This is not about arrogance or exclusion. It is about protecting the finite resources you have and ensuring they are invested wisely. You are not obligated to give everyone equal access, and failing to recognize this truth can lead to exhaustion, frustration, and a diminished sense of self-worth. When you allow unrestricted access to everyone, you devalue the most important currency you possess, your presence. Your time and energy are not infinite, they are precious and should be treated as such. The people who deserve access to you are those who respect and value you, not just for what you can do for them, but for who you are. By being selective, you create space for meaningful connections that enrich your life rather than drain it. It's important to understand that access is a privilege, not a right. Too often, people fall into the trap of overextending themselves, believing they must be available to everyone who asks for their attention. This mindset stems from a desire to be liked, accepted, or seen as generous. But in reality, being overly accessible dilutes your impact. When you say yes to everyone, you often end up saying no to yourself, your goals, your priorities, and your peace of mind. Selective access also allows you to protect your boundaries. Not everyone approaches you with pure intentions, and some individuals may take advantage of your openness for their own gain. These people can drain your energy, manipulate your kindness, or distract you from your purpose. By carefully choosing who has access to you, you shield yourself from unnecessary negativity and ensure that your interactions are rooted in mutual respect and value. It's worth noting that selective access doesn't mean shutting people out entirely. It means creating different levels of access based on the nature of your relationships. For instance, close friends and family may have deeper access to your time and emotions, while acquaintances or colleagues might have more limited access. This hierarchy is not about favoritism, it's about stewardship. You are responsible for managing your energy in a way that allows you to thrive while still contributing meaningfully to the lives of others. The power of selective access extends beyond relationships to your daily commitments and responsibilities. Every opportunity, invitation, or request requires a choice. Does this align with my values and priorities? Will it bring growth, joy, or fulfillment, or will it merely drain my resources? Learning to say no is a crucial part of exercising selective access. Saying no is not a rejection of others, it is an affirmation of your purpose. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, rather than scattering your energy across activities or relationships that do not serve you. Selective access also reinforces self-respect. When you set limits on who and what can enter your life, you send a powerful message to yourself and to others that you value your worth. This act of self-respect naturally commands respect from others. People will take note of how you guard your time and energy and will be less likely to take you for granted. On the other hand, when you fail to set boundaries, you inadvertently teach others that your time and presence can be taken lightly. It's important to remember that being selective is not selfish, it is wise. You cannot pour into others if you are running on empty. By managing access thoughtfully, you ensure that you remain strong, focused, and capable of giving your best to the people and pursuits that truly matter. This is not about withholding, it is about prioritizing. You are simply choosing to invest your time and energy where they will have the greatest impact. The power of selective access ultimately lies in its ability to create balance. It allows you to engage deeply with the people and projects that align with your purpose while maintaining the energy and clarity to pursue your own growth. It is a practice of intentionality, ensuring that you are not overwhelmed by the demands of others, but instead empowered to lead a life of focus, fulfillment, and meaning. By embracing this power, you reclaim control over your life and set the stage for relationships and experiences that uplift and inspire you. Empowerment begins when you find the courage to express your needs, desires, and boundaries without fear or hesitation. Assertiveness is the tool that transforms a courage into action. It is not aggression, Nor is it passivity, it is the balanced middle ground where you stand firm in your truth while respecting the truths of others. Assertiveness empowers you because it allows you to communicate clearly, effectively, and confidently, ensuring that your voice is heard without demeaning or overpowering others. Many people confuse assertiveness with being confrontational, but the two are worlds apart. Confrontation seeks to dominate, assertiveness seeks to express. When you are assertive, you are not demanding that others bend to your will. You are simply standing firm in your position while inviting mutual understanding. This clarity in communication often disarms defensiveness in others, fostering a healthier, more constructive dialogue. Empowerment through assertiveness begins with self-awareness. You cannot assert yourself effectively if you are unsure of what you want or what you stand for. Taking the time to reflect on your values, priorities, and boundaries is essential. When you know your limits and desires, you are better equipped to communicate them with conviction. Assertiveness becomes the bridge between your inner world and the outer one, allowing others to see and respect the real you. One of the most significant barriers to assertiveness is fear of rejection, judgment, or conflict. This fear often leads people to default to passivity, suppressing their needs to avoid rocking the boat. But in doing so, they sacrifice their own empowerment. Each time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you chip away at your self-worth. Over time, this can breed resentment, not just toward others, but also toward yourself for failing to stand up for what matters to you. The beauty of assertiveness is that it breaks this cycle. By speaking up for yourself, you affirm your worth and reinforce your boundaries. This does not mean you will always get what you want. Assertiveness is not a guarantee of outcomes. But it does mean that you will walk away knowing you honored yourself and your values. That alone is empowering, regardless of the response you receive from others. Assertiveness also transforms relationships. When you express yourself clearly and confidently, you teach others how to interact with you in a way that fosters mutual respect. People are more likely to value your input when they see that you value it enough to voice it. Assertiveness removes ambiguity, ensuring that both parties understand where they stand. This clarity not only prevents misunderstandings, but also deepens trust and respect. However, assertiveness requires practice. It is not always easy to speak up, especially if you are used to being passive or if you've been conditioned to avoid conflict. The key is to start small. Begin by asserting yourself in low-stakes situations, a preference at a restaurant, a minor disagreement with a friend, or a decision at work. Each success builds confidence, making it easier to assert yourself in more challenging scenarios. It is also important to remember that assertiveness is not just about words, it is about tone, body language, and intention. A calm and steady tone conveys confidence, while aggressive or defensive tones can undermine your message. Maintaining open body language, eye contact, a relaxed posture, and measured gestures reinforces your assertiveness without intimidating others. These nonverbal cues are just as critical as the words you choose. Empowerment through assertiveness also involves listening. While asserting your needs is important, empowerment is a two-way street. Listening to others with an open mind demonstrates that you value their perspectives as well as your own. This balance of speaking and listening creates a foundation for productive, respectful interactions. In the end, assertiveness is about reclaiming your voice. It is about recognizing that your opinions, needs, and boundaries are just as valid as anyone else's. When you practice assertiveness, you step into a position of power not over others, but within yourself. You stop waiting for permission to express yourself and start creating the space for your truth to be heard. This empowerment ripples through every area of your life. At work, assertiveness helps you advocate for your ideas and contributions. In relationships, it fosters deeper connections built on mutual respect. In your personal life, it allows you to set boundaries that protect your peace and prioritize your well-being. Assertiveness is not just a skill, it is a way of living that honors your value and allows you to navigate the world with confidence and grace. By embracing assertiveness, you empower yourself to live authentically and unapologetically. You take control of your narrative, ensuring that your voice is not only heard but also respected. This empowerment is transformative, allowing you to show up fully in every area of your life. Self-preservation is not selfishness, it is survival. It is the recognition that you have a responsibility to protect your well-being, your time, and your emotional energy. Too often, people misunderstand self-preservation as a lack of generosity or care for others. On the contrary, it is through self-preservation that you ensure you can continue to give, support, and contribute to the world without losing yourself in the process. It is the foundation upon which strength, resilience, and clarity are built. The concept of self-preservation begins with understanding that your energy is finite. Every person you interact with, every situation you engage in, and every commitment you make draws from a reservoir of emotional, physical, and mental resources. If you give freely without monitoring the state of this reservoir, it will inevitably run dry. Self-preservation is the act of managing this energy wisely, ensuring that you are replenished and whole so that what you give comes from a place of abundance rather than depletion. There is a profound strength in knowing when to step back, say no, or walk away. Society often glorifies the idea of self-sacrifice, portraying those who give endlessly as noble or virtuous. But self-sacrifice without boundaries is not sustainable. It leads to burnout, resentment, and a diminished sense of self. Strength in self-preservation means rejecting the notion that your worth is tied to how much you can give or endure for others. It means understanding that protecting your well-being is not only acceptable but necessary for a life of purpose and fulfillment. A key element of self-preservation is learning to recognize energy drainers, people, situations, or habits that leave you feeling depleted rather than uplifted. Some people may constantly take without giving, expecting you to solve their problems or meet their needs without regard for your own. Others may project negativity or criticism that chips away at your confidence and peace. Strength in self-preservation means identifying these patterns and taking decisive action to distance yourself from them, whether through setting boundaries, limiting interactions, or letting go entirely. Self-preservation is also about honoring your priorities. Each day presents a myriad of demands on your time and attention, but not all of them are worthy of your energy. Strength lies in discerning which commitments align with your values and purpose and which are distractions. This requires the courage to let go of obligations or relationships that no longer serve your growth. It is not an act of abandonment, but of alignment, choosing to focus on what truly matters to you, rather than spreading yourself thin, trying to please everyone. Another important aspect of self-preservation is emotional regulation. Life is full of challenges and conflicts, and it is easy to become consumed by stress, anger, or frustration. Strength in self-preservation means developing the ability to process and manage these emotions in healthy ways rather than allowing them to overwhelm you. This might involve practices such as mindfulness, journaling, or seeking support from trusted individuals. It is about creating a space for your emotions to exist without letting them dictate your actions or drain your energy. One of the most powerful acts of self-preservation is learning to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. This might mean ending a toxic relationship, leaving a draining job, or stepping back from commitments that have become burdensome. Walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is a declaration of self-worth. It takes immense strength to prioritize your well-being over the fear of disappointing others or facing the unknown. Each time you choose to preserve yourself, you reinforce the belief that you are deserving of peace, respect, and fulfillment. Self-preservation is not just about avoiding harm, it is about actively creating an environment where you can thrive. This means cultivating habits, relationships, and routines that nurture your body, mind, and spirit. It means prioritizing rest, seeking joy, and investing in your personal growth. Strength in self-preservation is not reactive, it is proactive. It is the deliberate choice to build a life that supports your well-being and allows you to show up fully for yourself and others. Finally, self-preservation requires resilience. The world is filled with pressures to conform, give more, and sacrifice endlessly. Standing firm in your commitment to preserve yourself is an act of defiance against these pressures. It is the recognition that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that preserving your energy and peace is not only your right but your responsibility. By embracing self-preservation, you honor your worth and reclaim control over your life. It is not about shutting others out, but about protecting the most valuable resource you have, yourself. Through this strength, you create the foundation for a life of purpose, balance, and empowerment. In life, your time, energy, and presence are among the most valuable assets you possess. To live a life of strength, fulfillment, and purpose, you must learn to protect these resources with wisdom and intentionality. Being kind is powerful, but it must never be mistaken for weakness. True kindness is rooted in strength and guided by discernment. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your life, and it is through boundaries, self-awareness, and assertiveness that you empower yourself to thrive. Standing firm in your values and priorities allows you to reclaim your voice and honor your worth. Assertiveness ensures that your truth is heard, not through aggression, but through clarity and confidence. Self-preservation reinforces this foundation by reminding you that you have the right and responsibility to prioritize your well-being. These principles are not acts of selfishness, they are acts of stewardship over the gifts you have been given. As you navigate relationships, responsibilities, and opportunities, remember that saying no is not rejection, it is wisdom. Walking away from what no longer serves you is not defeat, it is strength. And choosing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. When you stop being soft to everyone, you step into the fullness of your potential, commanding respect while offering it in return. Ultimately, your life is yours to lead. Guard your peace, value your presence, and let your strength shine in every decision, every boundary, and every act of kindness. By doing so, you not only uplift yourself, but inspire others to respect and honor the incredible person you are.